Okay, so now in Article 2, we want to look at the structure of the judicial branch. This graphic organizer gives you an overview of the basic structure of our judicial branch. You would start at the bottom, normally if you had a court case that dealt with national law, and go to one of the district courts. If you were not happy with how that particular court ruled in your case, you could appeal it up to the U.S. Court of Appeals, which is the next level higher. And then again, if you were dissatisfied with the outcome there, you could appeal it to the U.S. Supreme Court. So the U.S. Supreme Court is at the top of the national court system. The Supreme Court, interestingly enough, is the only court mentioned in the Constitution. The other courts have been developed by Congress, and they have changed over time, and they will continue to change over time, depending on what Congress wants to do with them. Where does the Supreme Court meet? Well, this is a really tough one. It meets in the Supreme Court building, which is pictured here. You can see at the top of the building there's a lot of elaborate sculpture along with the motto, "Justice, the Guardian of Liberty." And the court does view its job as making sure the laws are fair so that everybody's freedom is preserved. So what does the Supreme Court look like? Well, let's take a peek. Yep, this is a picture of the current 9 justices on the Supreme Court. Just some notes about them. Judges on the Supreme Court are called justices rather than judges. I don't know why, but that's the way it is. The leader of the court is then called the Chief Justice. The gentleman sitting in the middle front row is named John Roberts, and he is the current Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court. The number of justices on the Supreme Court has ranged from a low of 5 to a high of 10. The Constitution does not specify, and so Congress usually sets those numbers. How do people get on the Supreme Court? Well, step 1 is that you're nominated by the president. And here's a picture of President Obama nominating Elena Kagan, who is the most recent U.S. Supreme Court justice. Then, once the president nominates a person, they must be approved by the Senate. So there's a series of hearings, they have to talk to the senators, and most of the senators, 51 of the 100, must vote to approve that appointment. Okay, so once you're on the Supreme Court, how long do you get to serve? You get to serve until you quit or you die. So it's a lifetime appointment. People have served as little as 1 year, 7 months, and 25 days, as James F. Byrne did. They have served as long as Justice William O. Douglas, who served for 36 years, 7 months, and 8 days. The average tends to be in the middle for about 16 years. But again, it is up to the Supreme Court justice to decide how long they serve. Some of them serve until they die. Some of them retire a bit earlier than that. Okay, that's a look at the structure of the Supreme Court, and next we'll move on to look at the power of the Supreme Court.